Deion in Colorado in the news. Max Olson's in the news. Max Olson from The Athletic had the audacity to go and do his job, and he wrote an article over on The Athletic about the guys that have transferred out of Colorado. And I thought it was very well done. Obviously, some people on the Colorado side think that it's very one-sided. It's pseudo-journalism. It's gotcha journalism. It's whatever they want to call it. It was telling stories from guys whose voices otherwise would never have been heard. And so here's the thing about Colorado and Deion Sanders. They've got a platform, a big one, a megaphone. Nothing that they want disseminated fails to get disseminated. But if you were a guy who was a holdover from the previous regime and then Deion comes in and you're cut loose, no one's going to hear your voice. Max Olson gave those guys a voice. It's a long feature. It's still probably on the front page of college football over on The Athletic. So I would encourage you to go read it. It's not some definitive end-all, be-all like gavel bang on the program, but I think it was a really, really good look. I'll tell you this, I learned a whole lot I didn't know. I learned a whole lot about a whole lot of guys I didn't know much about. And I cover this sport and follow it year-round. So I thought Max Olson did a good job. Other people did not, including some people inside the program. So to save you some time, there's been a lot of sniping back and forth, people taking shots at Colorado, Deion responding to some of them, Shedeur Sanders responding to some of them. So, ironically, I don't have a whole lot to say about that, because I just don't like to get into it. I do have a few things to say about how I feel. So I'm reading the Max Olson piece, and I think a lot of it sucks. Just the details, just the overall way that things have been handled out there. I'm going to get to why that doesn't matter in a second, so just hold on before you go type it in all caps in the comments section. I think it sucks. What I think sucks about it is not that Deion came in and cut a lot of guys loose. That's going to happen. It's going to happen more so now in today's college football, and especially more so at a program like Colorado, maybe than in years past it would have anywhere else. I'm a believer that doing business and having basic respect for humans don't have to be mutually exclusive. So if I'm Deion, I would have come into Colorado and cut a lot of kids loose. I don't necessarily know that I would have gone about it the exact way he did. Now, here's the follow-up. I'll say it so you don't have to. Well, Josh, you don't have to worry about it. No one's giving you the keys to a program. You're not Deion Sanders. He is. You're right about all that. I'm not refuting any of that. I'm telling you, since this is my show, and I presume you come here to listen to me talk about how I feel about things, I hated those details, those aspects of it. But here is part two of that now. Part two is, this is essentially semi-pro ball now. I said this when Deion took the job. I said that something he was about to do was going to really exclamate something that I don't think a lot of folks realized was happening with college football. A lot of things were happening in the way of players' rights. A lot of things were happening with NIL. A lot of things, in other words, were happening that benefited players. This has been happening for a while. This is not Deion's doing, by the way. This is a college football thing, but it led to Deion. It led to something he's doing. So we enter the era of NIL in the portal, right? And guys are making money legally that they used to not be able to make, and guys have freedom to move, and guys are basically getting a whole lot of benefit that comes with being a high-level college football player. And so you got cotton candy in one hand, and you got lollipop in the other hand, and for a little while, it was like summer of love vibes. It was, man, what could go wrong? Well, here's what could go wrong. When you get that on the front end, there are going to be some things on the back end that maybe don't taste so good and don't sound and look so good. And that is cutthroat business being done, maybe at your expense. And so when Deion took the job at Colorado and he made no bones about what he was about to do, I said on the show, I remember Colin and Jesse, I said it like 2 years ago, some stuff that makes you very uncomfortable is probably about to happen. But this is the era for it to happen in. You claimed, some people claimed that they wanted this structure, and they wanted a semi-pro model for college athletics. And so that's the downside. You wanted the benefits of an adult, you're going to get treated like an adult. And boss man doesn't have to be nice to you, doesn't have to care about your feelings. I could look on from Nashville and I could look out at Boulder and say, man, I wish he'd be a little nicer about this. But all that is my opinion. He doesn't have to be that way if he doesn't want to be that way. And so that's how it is. My point is, regardless of what anyone's opinion on it is, including mine. But I saw someone earlier today ask me about Colorado's program. I was going to talk about it on the show anyway, but I think it was Blake. Blake goes back and forth with us a fair amount. Blake said something along the lines of, what do you think about Colorado's program? I don't think Colorado has a program. I think Colorado has an experiment currently underway in Boulder. Like, that's how I view them. These numbers are insane. Deion brought in 72 guys in the class of 2023 when you account for recruiting and portal. Do you understand what I just said? You got 85 scholarships. He brought in 72 guys in one cycle. Just a mind-blowing, unheard of number. 44 of them are gone a year later. That is 61% of the 72 he brought in. He brought in a team. They portaled in and recruited in an entire football team, and 61% of them are gone a year later. Those aren't guys he inherited, by the way. Those are guys that he picked, and his staff picked, and they brought in. So 61% of those are gone. 34 of 51 transfers are gone. 10 of 21 recruits are gone, including the two highest-ranked guys. So it's not a program. That's not a program, at least the likes of which we've ever known. That's an experiment. They are trying it a different way than it's ever been done before. I have no idea where the synergy and togetherness and culture and basically all the intangibles that go to define a program even come from, going about it that way. It ain't my program. It's his program. But I will not really call it a program as much as I view it an experiment. But I'll tell you what I do appreciate. There's some stuff here I don't like. What I do appreciate is Deion Sanders is authentically himself. And I don't have to like it, all aspects of it. Some of it I do like, some of it I don't like. I don't have to like all of it. But he's authentically himself. We do have ourselves here a guy who does not have to apologize to anyone. He doesn't need the job. And so for better or for worse, if you're just in this for entertainment, if you just want to prop the feet up and pop the popcorn and sit back and put on your 3D glasses and enjoy a show, Colorado and Deion, that's your show. Here's my final thought on it. I think I said this once before. I'll say it again. One of the things that frustrates me the most is when people run their mouth and they never have to back it up. Well, that is not Deion Sanders. That is not Colorado. As long as they got to tee it up in the fall, as long as they got to play 12 in the fall, I'm fine with anything that's said in May. Run your mouth all you want to. You can represent yourself any way you want to and carry yourself any way you want to, as long as you got to play it. As long as fall Saturdays are going to come and you're going to be involved 12 times, fall Saturdays will tell the story. Colin, could you throw their schedule up one more time? Because they're entering the Big 12 this year. They do not have an easy schedule by Big 12 standards. A lot of you have noticed, though, they don't open in Big 12 play, do they? They open against North Dakota State. Just that's a game. And then they go to Nebraska week 2, got Colorado State on the road week 3, and then it's Big 12 play. And it's Big 12 play, and it's Big 12 play. And what I've said about the Big 12, as it relates to Colorado, I'll say one more time. I think they could have an extremely tough time this year. And the reason is not because of anyone's attitude. The reason is not because anyone's tweeted. It's because I don't think Colorado has a program. And conversely, they're going to play week after week. Kansas State, Cincinnati, Utah, Kansas. They're going to play week after week against teams that have known for a long time they're not recruiting 5 stars. They're not landing the best of the best. Hardly any of these teams even crack the top 20 in recruiting. That's not a good thing for you, actually. That's a bad thing, because while they may not have a ton of first-round NFL talent on their roster, they've more than learned how to make up for that. It's called culture. It's basically like playing 8 or 9 really, really tightly wound rubber band balls. There's no looseness. Like, they are rock solid, and everyone's arm in arm, and everyone's together, and you're not playing a whole bunch of true freshmen. You're playing a bunch of 4th and 5th year guys, and they've been through the wars, and they've been there together, and you're playing grown men who know how to play team football. And you're essentially mercenarying a team together every year to try and go win in that environment. It's a great experiment. It's fun to watch. It's a great experiment. No one's ever tried to do this before. I don't have ultra high hopes for what they'll accomplish this fall. And if it starts going sideways this fall, you better be really mentally tough. If you're mentally tough enough to talk in spring and then folks start beating you upside the head, you better be ready to take it in the fall. Because if you're not, that is the longest 12 weeks that you will ever live in your life, at least in terms of sports. That is a long 12 weeks, man. If you're already out of bowl contention and you look up and, man, we're not even to Halloween yet. Yeah, people suffer that every year. The difference is the teams that already find themselves out of relevancy and contention by Halloween normally don't keep the crosshairs on their back throughout Thanksgiving And that will be Colorado no matter how the year goes this year. Their over-under win total is 5.5. So if they make a bowl game, they have hit the over. Will they? Will they, anyone?